In today's 5-Minute Gardener, it's time to change out the summer color that survived the heat and put in some flowers that'll carry you through till spring. Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounts from Harlow Gardens, is here with some fabulous ideas on what to put in your pots to make your garden look flowery and colorful and absolutely beautiful.
All right, hello you guys. Well, the heat is finally thinking about leaving. Not quite there yet, but we're getting there. And it is a beautiful time. It's perfect time to look at planting some of your winter, spring flowers. This is the time to plant those flowers to get those big, spectacular pots and flower beds in the spring. If you do it in the spring, they're not going to be as glorious as if you get them in the ground now, get them a bit of a head start and they're growing. So then as the winter comes on, they kind of wait and don't do a lot of growing, but as the spring comes on, they grow and take off and get covered with blooms. So here today I've brought some samples for you. Now these are some of the pots that we have planted up and showing you some of the flowers that you can use in the winter and spring gardens or in the ground or in pots. Now I've brought both sunflowers, flowers that need at least 5 to 6 hours of sun, and I also have a few shade flowers. Now when you're picking your flowers, remember that during the winter time, all of these flowers that I'm showing you, the plant will survive the winter. Often, however, on the nights that it actually freezes, the flowers can get damaged, so be sure to cover the plants if you want to save the flowers. If you don't cover the plants, then lots of times the plants will survive, but the flowers may not survive, so you may lose your color. So you can do it either way. You'll still get color later, but in order to save the winter color, go ahead and cover those plants at night. Okay, so here I have things like lobelia, I have petunias. This is a neat thing called nemesia. It's kind of an unusual one. Okay, we have phlox, we have snapdragons, I've got pansies. Now the pansies and the violas are the two flowers that will bloom no matter how cold it gets. They don't ever need to be covered and they'll continue blooming even at 32 degrees. Okay, you guys, thanks for coming today and have a beautiful garden.
Good to know. And you tell me that you have put the names of all those flowers, because I'm sure there are people at home that are saying, what did she say? I didn't get the second name. They're all on harlowgardens.com. Click on articles.
Right, and on winter bedding.
Winter bedding.
So there's a list in there.
Perfect.
And I get a little more information with the list to give you some, because sitting here and doing a whole list is boring.
Yeah, well, and we don't have enough time.
No, exactly.
So harlowgardens.com.
harlowgardens.com.
And you brought another beautiful bouquet
here.
It's
I did.
Gorgeous.
This is just kind of my little prop. One thing I wanted to remind people of that I didn't talk about in the segment is fertilizing. Now, a lot of your bushes and your trees and such, you don't fertilize those now because they kind of hunker down and they're still in the winter. They don't do much. Some of them lose their leaves and some of them just kind of hold still. Whereas the flowers, your flowers are actively growing, so they need regular fertilizing. And the one that I love to use is the Osmocote. And the reason I like this is it's a little pelletized fertilizer, and you sprinkle it on, and every time you water, it automatically releases fertilizer. So you don't have to fuss. So you don't have to do it once a week. It'll go for a couple months.
Couple months, okay.
Yes.
And is it good for almost all flowering plants?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Even, what about plants that we might have on our patio that are not going to be flowering? Like, for instance, a ficus. Should you be fertilizing that now?
Those kind of things you don't want to fertilize.
Okay.
Now, anything that's cold tender, it's a really bad time to fertilize because it promotes new growth, and that new growth is the part that is the most tender on the plant. So then what would happen, let's assume on your ficus, you get your new growth, a couple hard freezes would come, that would freeze back, and then it can actually start to freeze further into the plant, damaging the plant. So really, it's better to leave those guys alone until spring.
Till spring, okay.
Yes.
But use your fertilizer on your beautiful...
On your flowers, yeah, absolutely. They need it. They really, because they're actively growing, and in order to be pretty, they need a little bit of food.
And these are absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being with us today. Appreciate it.